we doing there, folks? And welcome to the 12th day of May 2008. I'm here at Earth Sanctuary World Nature Centre, and on today's transmission we'll be investigating the pharmaceutical industry on the planet. Why? Because in the Western world up to 75 to 80% of human illness is attributable to our lifestyle. So let's take a peek inside this amazing industry and look at how in the future we can evolve the standards, look at putting a bit of morality, some ethics into the underlying standards of these industries, so that in the future we can maybe consider health as being the centre, the very pivoting centre of our society. Let's check it out, and I'll join you in a few moments for some climate change news. Human health is, after all, our priority. So let's get stuck into some pharmaceuticals, shall we? For the first time ever, global spending on prescription drugs has topped $600 billion. The United States still accounts for the lion's share of that figure, with $252 billion in annual sales. Based on previous Federation investigations, we've come to understand that the vast majority of human illnesses, especially in the Western world, is attributable to human lifestyle. The biggest cause of death in the Western world is circulatory disease, which leads to heart attack and stroke. And as we've unveiled from previous investigations, the major contributor to circulatory disease is high cholesterol, and this stems from the high consumption of meat, dairy products, and you guessed it, pharmaceutical medicine. So what are the world's biggest selling pharmaceutical drugs on the market? Well, they would have to be anti-cholesterol, antidepressant, and blood pressure medications, all of which are thriving off the side effects of the Western lifestyle and high consumption. So how does the world's biggest pharmaceutical companies operate? To start with, the Pharmaceutical Industry's US Trade Association has the largest lobby in Washington, which in 2002 employed 675 lobbyists, including 26 former members of Congress, at a cost of more than $91 million. The result has been above average growth in corporate profits during both Republican and Democratic administrations. Further claims suggest that large pharmaceutical companies have a poor output when it comes to innovative research. In fact, many pharmaceutical companies buy their discoveries coming out of the basic science enterprises, including universities and publicly funded granting agencies. The real cost of research on drugs by pharmaceutical companies are much less than they often quote.
Almost all of the things in their pockets would be branded products, whether it's from their pen, their stethoscope tag, compass, other things that they use for medical purposes. And so the most obvious thing about that is that doctors and students even are walking advertisements, really saying these things are paid advertising for these products, which is really, that's a problem in itself.
It's a sad fact to hear that when it comes to international bribery and corruption, fraud in the testing of drugs, criminal negligence in the unsafe manufacture of drugs, the pharmaceutical industry has a worse record of law breaking than any other industry. In fact, pharmaceutical multinationals defy the intent of laws regulating safety of drugs by bribery, false advertising, fraud in the safety testing of drugs, and unsafe manufacturing processes, including smuggling and international law evasion strategies. It is very easy for a drug company to arrange appropriate clinical trials by approaching a sympathetic clinician to produce the desired results. The incentive for clinical investigators to fabricate data is enormous. As much as $1,000 per subject is paid by American companies, which enables some doctors to earn up to $1 million a year from drug research.
And then, of course, the other problem, which I consider even the primary problem, is that they're receiving gifts from company and therefore developing relationships with the company.
The investigating clinicians know all too well that if they don't produce the desired data, the loss of future work is inevitable.
As these students get farther along in their medical education, the interactions and the gifts escalate to free lunches, to dinners, to trips.
No matter where you spend money in pharmaceutical promotion, whether it's within sample distribution, educational programming, non-educational programming, champagne, brunches, happy hours, New York jet tickets, no matter where you spend the money, you make money.
Certain activities that would be illegal if they were called marketing are not illegal if they're called education. There's a safe harbor for them. for example, it's illegal to give kickbacks to doctors to prescribe your drug. But if you're essentially paying them to educate other doctors or to be educated by other doctors, then it's no longer a kickback.
Other health concerns in the pharmaceutical industry are involved in the clinical trials or research, where the subjects taking part in the trial usually do not represent those who will use the drug after its approval. Very young or elderly people, women of childbearing age and people with liver or kidney disease are usually not included in clinical trials, although such people may be given the drug after it is marketed. The most blatantly fraudulent procedure of drug testing is in the testing of these substances using animal models, a practice often termed vivisection. To begin with, many of the most common or life-threatening side effects cannot be predicted by animal tests. For instance, animals cannot let the experimenter know if they are suffering from headache, amnesia, nausea, depression, and other psychological disturbances. Allergic reactions, some blood disorders, skin lesions, and many central nervous system effects are even more serious examples that cannot be demonstrated by animal models. According to one of the world's best-known toxicologists, most of the adverse reactions that occur in man cannot be demonstrated, anticipated or avoided by the routine subucate and chronic toxicity experiment. And here's a grave fact. Of the 45 most common adverse reactions in people, only 3 of these reactions can be possibly predicted through testing of animals. And of the remaining 42, only in exceptional cases can they be predicted from routine test.
You can hide 18 holes of golf for 50 people under an educational event. And during those 18 holes, you can give a case of scotch that costs $1,000 to each one of the recipients of this free golf round. You can give golf clubs to individuals, and it's all under educational.
As a rule, the drug companies don't pour millions of dollars into the political parties themselves, but they give the money to the individual politicians and public officials selected among those that determine the health policy. With the help of congressmen in their employ, they acquired uniquely favourable marketing conditions that would ensure them durable profits. This transmission offers you a brief insight into the concerning practices of one of the world's biggest industries. As a matter of human rights, human health must never be subject to the immoral and unethical strategies employed by the corporate world and its shareholders. Fortunately, consumer choice can dictate the future of this activity. See you on the next transmission. Well, how about that, folks? Isn't that a bit of an insight into the nature of the pharmaceutical industry on the planet? We are the consumers. We are the ones to instigate the revolution of change in this world of economic value. Let's look at some news on the volcanic front. First of which, Mount Etna, over 3,500 metres tall over there in Italy, has decided to start rumbling, now spitting out lava and into the nearby Sicily, and it has received nearly 200 earthquakes, over 4.2 on the Richter scale over the last day, which is enormous, considering also over there in Russia, the area of Kamchatsky, she is now active again. She's pumping smoke, on this occasion 4.5 kilometres up into the sky. It's another active volcano. Just after looking at yesterday over there in Chile, another active volcano, on this occasion after 9,000 years of so-called dormancy. They're in a little bit of trouble as well. Also, again, active volcanoes, Hawaii. We're getting more rumbling, more shake, rattle and roll over there in Hawaii. Further news looks at storms in the United States, of which this was originally in the Midwest from typhoon activity. 22 fatalities have been recorded over there in the United States, and now it's also threatening the East Coast, which looks at Virginia and Florida, who are now bracing themselves for the impact of those storms. The activity is exponential. Finally, I'd like to thank Adam over there in the United Kingdom, who made contact with the Federation team earlier on today, and it's wonderful to hear another superstar, and it looks like a team of you champions over there who are seriously investigating the advent of human migration on the planet as a result of the extreme behaviour. It's been great catching up with you guys. Watch tomorrow, it's a Tuesday. Danny Boy is going to be getting stuck into one of the biggest legends on the planet, John Lennon, and he's another revolutionist, so I look forward to that one. See you guys then, take care, bye bye.